Ori, I can't wait to hear about the story with the Queen Mary.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Well, look, for those of you who read my book, there's a lot in there about a gentleman named Jerry Zimmerman. Jerry Zimmerman could have been anything that he ever wanted to be, but he was probably the best con man. But he always went for the short dollar until he met me. Okay. And Jerry would never call me and say, hey, meet me at Jerry's Deli, unless he had an envelope full of cash. So he calls me one day and tells me, he says, Queen Mary's looking for money. They needed some financing, $3 million. He said, I'm going to set a meeting up. He said, oh, I'll make sure they got money for you when you come for the meeting. He would never bring me to a meeting unless somebody paid. And we went down to Queen Mary, and I met Joe Prevotel and Howard Bell. Joe was the president. Howard Bell was the chief financial officer. And they had just taken over. Prior to that, Joe Prevotel was running the port of Long Beach. Then Disney abandoned the ship, and Joe took it over, and they needed $3 million. So I listened to their story, and then Joe slipped me under the table an envelope with $1,000 in there just for coming to the meeting. I told him, I'll think about it, let me make a few calls. I went home, I called him up. I said, I made a few calls, this and that, I need $25,000. All right, I gotta go to New York, Next morning I go down, I'm in Joe's office upstairs of the ship, okay? And a security guard comes up from the bottom of that ship, got a bag with 25 grand in it. I said, holy shit, okay, all in cash. That 25 grand eventually became 150,000. And Jerry and I split everything. And I was in New York. I said, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? Okay, I have these people, 150. Every time I look at my door, my street's full with the FBI watching me and the gangster squad of Los Angeles organized crime. And I'm walking down, I was in New York, I'm walking down the street, and a bunch of people got busted for garbage business. It was a big thing in the headlines in New York Post. That was my out. I used that for my out, that the deal was going to go through. That's where the money was going to come from. It's dead now. So I come back, I got to meet with him, and I pull it a lot, and I'm just thinking of my life and this and that. And I see that big freaking ship sitting in front of me. And I said to myself, this is my way out. I can make money with this freaking place. So I end up making a deal with him that somehow I'm going to pay your money back. And then after that I had a meeting in New York. A director hired me who owned part of the Titanic salvaging. And I had to crash through a door in New York City to the owners of the Titanic. It was crazy. And then I get back, and Walter Fison, who owned Polyglyco, which is in my book, you read all about it, comes back with me. And he and I go down and have a meeting with the Queen Mary, and I ask him for 15 grand a month, a retainer, and we'll provide entertainment. And Joe Prevotel looks at me and says, Ori, we can't pay the 15 grand. But if you get me the Titanic exhibit, we'll make money. I said, well, Joe, you're the president of Queen Mary. Just called the president of the Titanic. I can't do that, Ori. You can do it. I said, okay. Me and Walter walking down the deck of the ship, walking back. Walter was like 6'5". Always called me kid. He says, kid, how the freak are you going to do this one? Because Walter was with me in New York when I crashed through the door. These people were deathly afraid of me. Okay? I said, I don't know. I said, let me figure it out. And at that time, we were selling advertising to strip clubs. We had a magazine for strip clubs and so forth. And one day I went out to get a pack of cigarettes. And it was they sold magazines, and I'm looking at the magazines, and the guy that I crashed the door in on, there's a magazine. And he's on the crow's nest of a boat above where the Titanic is. The whole story's about this guy. I buy that. I sat in my car, read the story. I read it twice. I read it 3 times. I got back to the office. I was in this guy's head like you can't believe. I said, Walter, I figured it out. I said, but you're going to talk to him. So I had Walter call them. I'm whispering in one ear and telling him what to say. And we wheeled these people from New York, put them up at the Queen Mary, and set a meeting with them for 9 a.m. But I told Walter, tell them to be there 8:30. Walter looked at me and said, you're going to go? I said, of course I'm going. So we had to meet us in the promenade deck, which is a restaurant. And Walter's walking in front of me. I'm behind him. They're all happy. They see Walter. And then I step to the side. I go over and I sit down. Gentlemen, just no mistake. I said, now, first of all, I said, I want you to know, I said, when I came to New York, I was retained, I was given a job to do, and I always do my job. I said, I want you guys to know that I'm your friend. I shake hands. I said, if you ever need me, don't hesitate to call. I said, now, we're going to have a meeting. I know that you got a certain number of artifacts in Norfolk. We want them here at the Queen Mary. We will pay all the expenses to come in. I said, the profits will be split 50-50 after the costs are deducted, minus 10% for me. I says, and you don't have to put out a penny. We'll put them up. We'll have them on their climatic conditions. By that time, I knew museum talk.
Wow.
You know? I said, and this is how the meeting's going to go when we sit down with Joe and Howard. The meeting went exactly like that. We did the contract. Boom. I thought, how am I going to make money with this bullshit? And I thought the movie was going to be a failure. I just never thought nobody's going to see another Titanic movie. All right? We had lines like you can't believe.
Yes.
I'm sitting home. I'm getting checks, $17,000, $22,000 a month.
That's amazing. Just from the Queen Mary, from the Titanic exhibit.
That was only the Titanic exhibit.
Wow.
And from there, I got the two Russian friends out of New York, the Russian mafia.
Yeah.
They connected me with the Hermitage Museum out of St. Petersburg. And I did a Russian exhibit.
Oh, wow.
I did the Marilyn Monroe, the Bob Marley, World of Reggae, and I had entertainers in a different room. I had concerts going on in the Dome over there. And I'll never forget, Queen Mary's a losing proposition. Nobody's ever made money. But Joe and Howard called me down for dinner at Sir Winston's, which is the prime restaurant there. And they thanked me profusely because it was the first year in history the Queen Mary ever made a profit, and they made $2.5 million.
And really, it came from...
Oh, and the best part of it, I paid them back $75,000 out of my commission. I had them take a certain amount every time to pay back the money that I robbed from them.
But you know, so really this all came from you seeing Walter on the cover of a magazine, and then with the Titanic.
Not Walter, the guy.
The guy, the CEO.
Yeah, his name's in my book.
His name's in your book, but you saw him on the cover, and then it sparked the idea. And then you ended up going with other places too. Yeah,
it's just, it was a matter that I was able, I'm pretty good at putting things together. I see something, I can get into somebody's head. I mean, this guy who was ahead of the Titanic,
right?
He ate, drank, and slept the Titanic. I mean, he lived from Connecticut, left his wife left him, because all he did, everything was Titanic with this guy.
Well, but I have a question, because I let you talk and I tried not to interrupt. what in the very beginning were they trying to accomplish with you? If they were trying to make money for the
they
Queen
wanted
Mary,
to borrow money from the mafia.
okay, so they thought you would be able to get them hooked up with the mafia to fund.
Yeah, you have any idea how many people throughout the country are looking to borrow money from the mafia? A lot. And Jerry Zimmerman had a knack of finding them. And I mean, I picked Jerry Zimmerman, I mean, he'd bring me a deal, I'd pick up 150, 200 grand like nothing from people. Because we had guys looking in Minnesota for oil wells. Normally when people came to us, they were robbing that money from somebody else.
Okay. Okay. So see, I'm getting an education.
I mean, you got to understand the world of the con. It's an amazing thing, and I was just a natural good at it.
Right.
And like so many things, because I am well read.
Right.
I read constantly, and I'm able to put things together, and I'm persistent.
Yes.
I don't give up on things. So things that other people give up on, you know, I take other people's garbage and I'll make it into gold.
Clearly you did that with the Queen Mary.
And that became, and Joe Previtel and I became best friends. We just spoke a couple of days ago. When I got arrested, Joe was right there, put money up for legal defense, on the phone with my attorneys. And I can't begin to tell you what else, because Joe was very big politically with George W. Bush and other people. And there's a lot of stuff I cannot say, but what Joe Previtel has done for me. And in my book, I mentioned Joe, and Joe is a man amongst men. Forget all these gangsters. Joe's more of a man than any of them ever thought about, because he's a true, great human being, and I can't say enough about this.
Oh, that's a big statement. The book is right here. It's The Accidental Gangster. And thank you so much, Ori, for this amazing story about the Queen Mary. And we will have more stories on location, different places, with things that happened with you that only you know. And so this is Debbie Bettendorf with Ori Spado, and